friends, welcome to Bookish Bliss, our virtual book club. Every week we will dig into a section of chapters in our favorite books. Let's get started!
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of Bookish Bliss. We have a lot to discuss today.
Yes, this week we are discussing our final thoughts of A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. There will be spoilers since we'll be discussing the entire book. So, you do have to read the whole book to listen.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Go back and listen to the last couple episodes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amanda, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, Megan, it's Friday night and I'm feeling frisky, so I'm drinking a tequila seltzer, blood orange. Excited to take a sip.
I'm excited for you.
What are you drinking tonight?
Well, I'm feeling a little fancy because my nails are blur.
Blur.
Blur, 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 blur. And I am drinking a Kendall Jackson Pinot Noir on this fancy Friday night.
I love it.
So obviously, I have to pour the glass because,
of course,
your girl's not prepared. Cheers you to our final thoughts of our third book.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
To the final thoughts of book 3. That's crazy.
Episode 21, baby.
Yep.
That is delicious.
Delicious. I love blood orange. Now let's get started with the good stuff and discuss our final thoughts of ACOWAR. Over to you, Meg. Please start by telling us your final rating for this book.
5 stars, baby. This whole series is just 5 stars to me.
Yeah.
I think it would be shocking if you found me rating it something other than 5 stars.
Yeah. I would have to agree. I give it 5 stars. It's every fantasy reader's dream, this book. It's so packed with so much different magic and conflict and surprises and shocks, and it's just gold. Gold.
It's just not just a romantasy book where I feel like ACOWAR was more of that romantasy.
Yeah.
Like this felt more like a fantasy book, even though it's still, I guess, technically romantasy.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. I think this one's definitely more fantasy focused than ACOWAR.
Yeah, this whole book, we're basically in war.
Yeah. 600 and something pages. Oh no, it's 699 because I remember saying couldn't have one more page to make it even.
I know, this is the longest book you've ever read, right?
Yep, this is the longest book I've ever read until we read A Court of Silver Flames. Mm-hmm. But until then, unless you want to count Iron Flame, because I know it's less pages but more words, so I don't know which is considered longer at this point in time.
Yeah, I guess you read more pages this time, but you've read more words in another book.
Yeah. So I don't know. Which one's longer, Megan?
I mean, I feel like Iron Flame was a beast because it even took me, like, why am I struggling to get through this? And it's not that it's a bad book. I loved the book. It was just such tiny writing and so many, like, the lines were literally touching. A magnifying glass to read this book. Yeah. It was insane.
Like a microscope.
Hopefully Onyx Storm doesn't ruin my eyesight further because I can't wait to devour it, or I should just Amazon a magnifying glass right now.
I know. It's true. I can't wait for that one to come out. Anywho.
Back to ACOWAR.
Yes. So 5 stars from both of us.
Mm-hmm. Obsessed.
Yeah. Definitely would recommend the entire series so far. I'm literally in line with the podcast, so I haven't read on, but I would have to say...
This is your favorite one, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think this one was my favorite one so far. And ACOWAR was really, really, really good. It was a really close second, but I think this one takes the cake.
I think it just has more aspects of fantasy that you love in this book.
Yeah,
where I'm like more romantasy, so that's why ACOWAR comes on top for me still.
Yeah, you're the romance girl and I'm the fantasy girl. Romantasy fantasy.
So,
I do love a good romance, but not like you.
I just can't get over chapter 54 in ACOWAR. Like, I'll never get over it. You can't top it. You really
can't
just
get over it either. But that was good. That was a good chapter.
It was so good.
All right, Megan, tell us who your favorite character was for this book.
It's actually not a hard decision. My favorite character was Nesta. I love her so much. I'm glad we can finally see more of Nesta that's not just like the sneering sister in the corner. Not that I like that trauma happened to her, but I think now that we have her in Prythian as a high fae and God knows what other power she's holding in there, I just like her character development so far.
Yeah.
I think she's had the most growth, I think, out of everyone besides maybe Feyre.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just love how powerful she is. I love how she's coming into her own. I love that she literally put on pants for the first time in her life and was in the mud helping soldiers and just getting water and just being a body of like help because she couldn't battle or fight in the line. So she was there doing everything else that she could, which I feel like is very un-Nesta-like in ACOWAR.
Definitely. So she's just like a bitch in ACOWAR.
Yeah, I like to see the personal growth. I like to see her opening up a little bit more to Feyre. And then obviously I love the tension between her and Cassian. So excited to see that continue.
Yes.
And yeah, I think overall, I think she was just very impressive in this novel.
I would have to agree. I love Nesta in this book too.
Yeah. Who is your favorite character in this book?
My favorite character, I've thought about this. Not that I didn't want to say this person, but it's just so obviously Feyre for me. It's Feyre for me. It really is. I was just so excited about her from literally the beginning. Her in the Spring Court was so fun to read. And just see her literally play Tamlin and this whole Spring Court and take them down. And then just going from there to being like this badass high lady, getting all these monsters on board to fight Hybern with them, fixing the cauldron to the end. The whole thing was just, Feyre was just a rock solid character.
Yeah, it was almost like she finally stepped into her own and you could see this sassiness and just really who Feyre is down to her core in this book, where I feel like in the other two books, she wasn't fully herself and kind of uncomfortable in her skin. And I think she's finally embraced it because she's been neither of our favorite characters
I know.
in the last two books. So
yeah. And I think it's her confidence, too, that I love about her now. Telling people, I'm a high lady. This is my duty. You will listen to me. And even her influence on Vivian. Now she wants to be a high lady because Feyre's a high lady. I just love that. I just love it all. Her whole persona. And she does have some parts, obviously, that piss me off. Like when she fucking uses her powers in the High Lord meeting and, you know, her dumb decisions that she makes. But overall, I think she's definitely my favorite for this book.
Yeah. No, for sure. So we have two Archeron sisters as our favorite characters.
Yes.
Which is funny because I'm older than you. So it's interesting that I picked Nesta and you picked Feyre.
Yeah, because Feyre's the middle, right? Oh, no, Feyre's the end.
So yeah, she's the youngest.
Yeah. Middle child here.
I'm the oldest child, so I feel like I align pretty well with Nesta.
With Nesta, yeah. Sometimes I forget that Elaine is older than Feyre.
I know.
Because she kind of acts like the youngest sister.
Yeah. I feel like Feyre acts like the oldest.
Yeah, for sure. Megan, what was your favorite part of this book?
Oh, man.
I know.
My favorite
there's so
part.
Many good ones.
There's so many good parts. I'm trying to think. Like, what tops it all for me? My favorite part is...
It's a hard choice.
I love all the action sequences, obviously, but I'm trying to think of something that was like, aw.
Yeah.
Like, maybe when Feyre, because I'm a romance girly, so when Feyre arrives back in the Night Court, when she gets back from the spring, and she sees Rhys for the first time, and he's just, you know, doing his casual lean against the door frame.
Yeah.
And then she just, like, falls to her knees crying. I'm like, ugh!
Yeah.
That is so epic love to me, and I just love it so much. Or the speech Rhys gives before the final battle totally tugged at my heartstrings. So
that's a good one, too.
Those are my favorite parts.
Nice.
What is your favorite part, Amanda?
So I'm torn between Feyre in the Spring Court because I love how conniving she is in that first part and how She uses her power so good and gets away with it. I love it. But it was like so much anxiety reading it, not knowing if she's going to make it out, not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And she fucking kills the Hybern twins and gets the hell out of there. Lucian goes with her. So it's like epic for me, that whole first part.
Yeah.
But also,
for sure.
I loved the High Lords meeting too. And just seeing the different perspectives of literally what happened, and their arguments were actually valid too. So it was very interesting to see how the outcome of that was going to be. Yeah. And of course, Ianthe dying was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, definitely. But, you loved that scene.
I loved that scene. I was like, yes, reading it. I'm like, yes.
Yes!
I knew it was going to happen when she was headed to the Weaver's cottage. I'm like, oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
Yep.
So good.
So good.
So Megan, I went on this website called supersummary.com, and they have this AI generator that makes questions about a book that you read. Okay. You pick all like the subjects. It came up with a few good questions, not me.
Yeah.
So let's start with the first one. Considering the complex relationships between Rhys, Feyre, and Tamlin, can you rationalize Tamlin's actions throughout the book? Is he a villain acting out of love and desperation, or is he beyond redemption? What do you think?
I don't know if he is a villain. I think he's made some questionable choices, some bad choices. But I don't think that Tamlin is an overall villain like Ianthe or the King of Hybern or Amarantha. I don't think that I would lump him into a category with those three.
Yeah.
So I definitely think he's not beyond redemption.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I can definitely I don't know if I can rationalize his alliance with Hybern, but
no, that was one of his stupid decisions.
Yeah, I think he's just so traumatized from so many different aspects in his life that he just continuously makes bad and questionable decisions because he doesn't know how to communicate.
Exactly. And he pushes everybody away and literally has no one to be like a sounding board for him.
Yeah.
So he just like scares everybody that is around him. Like Lucian was petrified of him.
Yeah.
He could never speak up to him without Tamlin wanting to fucking snap his neck.
Yeah, I think Rhys and Feyre also have this, like, I need to take on everything on my own as well, just like Tamlin does. At least Feyre and Rhys can open up to each other to, you know, almost like 99.9% of the time, I would say they can open up to each other and listen to each other, where Tamlin has never allowed anyone in that deep and has not let anyone all the way in. So I think that's why he makes the decisions that he does, because he doesn't have a sounding board. So no, I don't think Tamlin is a villain. Do I like what he's done? No, but I
his actions,
he's not beyond redemption.
Yeah, his actions cannot be rationalized. No, he's not a villain, but he's definitely made some dumbass moves that he did not have to make.
Yeah. All right, the next question is, the cauldron is used for both creation and destruction, making it morally complex. Is your opinion, do objects or powers hold inherent good and bad, or is their morality defined by how they are used?
Well, the cauldron definitely tripped me up, so it's definitely complex.
Yeah.
I do believe its morality is defined by how they are used. But also, it made decisions on its own as well. Like going to get Elaine, seeing them in the dream, and didn't tell I don't know how it would tell Hybern, but I don't know. That's a hard one.
Yeah. I think it definitely acted out when Nesta opened a door to the connection they already have, but made the door wider than it was.
Yeah.
And she took information from the cauldron after already taking too much power from the cauldron. So I think it's very intrigued by Nesta, and it wants what Nesta stole back. So it stole what was important to Nesta, which is Elaine.
Yeah, it's like it almost makes it even. with her.
Yeah.
Like good and bad, destroyer and creator. Like it has
like
to
there's a balance.
Settle the score. Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be a balance between good and evil, and she took too much, so it took from her, and now the score is settled. But obviously Elaine gets taken back, but the cauldron still is very intrigued by Elaine, because Feyre says when she's holding on to the cauldron, watching it happen, that it's still very intrigued that it made Elaine the seer and gave Elaine a gift. It seems very intrigued. I keep using that word, but
yeah. But I feel like that was kind of literally during this discussion, I just thought of this, but maybe it gave Elaine something because it knew it was being used for evil. So it had to even itself out and give them something good to use. So I think it is maybe just a balance. Like it has to be balanced no matter what. So all of the evil was counteracted with the good things that it did as well.
Yeah, it had to. I think it is. Yeah, I think it's just a neutral object.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be good or bad.
Yeah, interesting. But it has to be alive, I guess you could say, in order for the world to exist.
Yeah, because when it was broken in 3, the world was literally being sucked back inside.
Yeah. It was like spilling out, like covering the world, taking it back. That's wild.
Yeah.
To think about. And that's why it needs to be hidden, not used
from the world forever.
Yeah. It can't be used for good or for bad, because no matter what, there's going to be a counteracted reaction from it.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is just such great fantasy, theme, drama, whatever you want to call it, in a book. Like wild. How she really thought of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Very complex.
Very complex. Because I was even confused. I didn't even realize it did it on its own when it went to get Elaine. Until we recorded, and you explained that to me, and I was like, wow, I didn't even put that together in my head. But it makes so much sense. Because it's, every time it's described, it's like this to that, and that to this, and opposites, good and bad. So
like calls to like.
Yes. Wild. Interesting. Okay. Another question. Feyre struggles with forgiving Tamlin, and this impacts her ability to fully embrace her new life. Do you think forgiveness is essential for moving on, or is it fair to never forgive someone who has deeply wronged you? Can holding grudges be justified?
I think it is essential to forgive someone to move on. I don't think you need to forgive them for them or for their sanity or sake. I think you forgive them in the situation for your own sanity and mental health. I think you never forget.
Right.
What they did to you and how they wronged you. But I think holding on to that grudge or this animosity for your whole life is just, it's not worth it to keep that in your heart or that energy around you. I think you do find a way to forgive, but you never forget.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also think that being deeply wronged changes you anyway. Why change yourself even more by holding a grudge and holding on to hatred? People go through things all the time, and they're a different person because of it. Yeah. So that's already enough change that you should have to go through. Let yourself free and just forgive for yourself.
Yeah. Don't ever forgive a situation for anyone but yourself.
Yeah.
That's how I always have looked at things and how I've dealt with different experiences that I've had in my life.
Same.
I forgive the situation. I forgive the wrongs that have been done to me, but I don't forget, and I just will never allow that to orbit in my life again.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what Feyre does. I think she does forgive Tamlin at the end. I mean, she does get revenge, but she writes that note back to him at the end saying, thank you. I hope that you find your happiness too. And I think she knows it's just not worth to hold on to this animosity and hatred towards someone when they're deeply traumatized as well. And they acted in the only way they knew how. And they did try to make up for it in other ways. And she kind of lets that all go at the end saying, I hope that you find your happiness, because he says that to her.
And I think also, obviously, him helping in so many other ways and showing up when it was literally the least expected moment for him to show up definitely made a difference in her forgiving him. Like, I think if he never showed up again, I don't even know if she would forgive him. Maybe for herself, but I don't think she would have went out of the way to write a note and do all that.
No, I think eventually she would have just let it all go and just realized the greatness that she has within her family in the Night Court. And moved on with them in a healthy way.
Yeah, I agree. I think these are such fun questions. I wish we could do all of these all night, but we got to move on because I have to talk about my predictions that came true as well.
Yes, now I can finally talk about them.
I know. But first, I have one more question.
Okay.
What surprised you the most? Obviously, the first time you read it. Or this time, something that you caught that you didn't catch before.
Okay, there was 2 things that I forgot, and I guess we'll use that as the surprising things that what surprised me. Okay. Is 1, I forgot that the King of Hybern kills the Weaver.
Yeah.
That scene completely was erased from my mind for some reason. Had no clue what was about to happen obviously I knew he was going to kill her when he's walking up to her, but totally blinked that out for some reason when he just like snapped her neck and then threw her to the Naga hounds. I'm like,
I know. So brutal.
I forgot she died. I remembered the bone carver dying. Like I vividly remembered the cauldron taking the bone carver out. And I knew that Braxis didn't die. Like, I remembered that. But I did not remember the Weaver dying. And I definitely didn't remember the King of Hybern snapping her neck and throwing her to the Naga hounds.
Wild.
Blew my mind. And then the second thing I forgot about was Nesta and Cassian kissing briefly before the King of Hybern is going to kill them. They think the king is going to kill him. And they have a little smooch.
You definitely forgot because I remember asking you if they're going to fucking kiss before the end of this book. And you were like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
I was like, what? So, which was nice because I was surprised when I read it. But
I remembered that scene. Like, I remember her throwing her body on top of his and saying, my one regret in this life is not being with you, basically.
Yeah.
And I'll see you on the other side and I'll make up for it. I remember that and being devastated, crying basically because I didn't know if they were gonna live or not. And I remember all of that, but I don't remember them like touching lips. I don't remember.
That's so funny.
So I guess those are 2 things that really surprised me because I just completely blocked them out of my brain when it came to this book.
Yeah, those are good ones.
What surprised you the most?
I think for me, number 1 was Feyre's father all day. I was not expecting him to come with Lucien and Vassa on the Nesta and have all these ships named after his daughters and be like this heroic father trying to save them again when he failed them so badly the first time. Like, holy shit. I never, ever expected that. We haven't even heard about the dad. He wasn't even there when they first went back to the human lands. We haven't seen him
since ACOWAR.
Yeah, since the first book. Literally 1,200 pages. He's not been in existence. And all of a sudden he comes back. That was epic for me. The most surprising thing in the whole book, for sure. And second was Rhys dying. I was not expecting that either. But the second it happened, first of all, I don't think I fully felt the pain that people probably, and we already talked about this, but that people read when it was the only book out and not another 2 books.
Right.
Especially like a novella book about like a Hallmark special Christmas special.
It's like a Hallmark Christmas special. That's what I call it. I call it the Hallmark Christmas special.
Yeah. So I was really shocked and surprised, but then also like, he can't be dead forever. And then I kind of put it in my head as we were reading that the same thing was going to happen to him that happened to Feyre, which I thought was really good. But also I didn't get the full effect of him dying because I knew he was still alive in the next book.
Yeah.
But
I also, the first time I read it, did not get the full effect of him dying because I knew I had the other 2 books sitting on my desk ready to go. And I was like, well, he has to be in them. Right? Like, I did question it for a second, but I feel like I didn't have that sobbing that I had for the serial because it didn't seem final to me.
Exactly. Yeah. I was confused. I don't know. I was just like, what? Like, how? How does he die? Like, what is going on? And then I just was like, there's no way.
You're like, is he dead? He can't be dead, right? Yeah, he's not dead, right? I'm like, well, he's dead right now, like, trying to get you to feel something. Like, you're like, no. She's like, you would be sobbing
like, you cry
if
over
it was
the cereal and not Rhys. There's no way he's dead. So I feel like it was surprising
no way.
and a good twist of how the High Lords have to save him too. Although he doesn't get any of his powers, which I still don't understand. I get he was High Fae first or High Lord first when he died, and Feyre was human. But like, it still doesn't make sense to me that they can give him life and he doesn't get anything from them, like power-wise, or that we know of. Maybe he was lying.
Yeah, maybe he was.
That was confusing, but definitely shocking about Feyre's father.
Were you shocked that Elaine used Truth Teller and stabbed the King of Highburn through the throat?
That was
that's a surprising moment.
Mostly because I thought Nesta was definitely going to give him the final blow. And she basically, she does, but...
Well, she kind of does.
I never pictured Elaine doing that, ever. And I feel like there was foreshadowing. Yeah. And you even kind of, I feel like, were alluding to it, which I'm picking up now because you were like, he never lends out Truth Teller. He never gave it to anybody before. And I'm like, yeah, never. Like, went right over my head.
No. Yeah.
But.
Like, literally was like, don't you touch my sister. Stabs him right through the fucking throat.
So good. I knew he was gonna die in this book, but
that was a good
I totally thought it was gonna be at the hands of Nesta. So you're right. That was very surprising too.
Yeah. Though it also brings into question just Elaine in general. Where does she go from here? She has Lucian as a mate. She has Azriel, who's like pining over her too now. And I think Tamlin is still involved somehow. I really think
I agree. I'm not completely convinced that he's not her mate. There was some evidence throughout this book since we've made that revelation that I can see how Lucian is, but also there's so many arguments where I can see how Tamlin is. So I'm still not fully convinced who the fuck her mate is. But
or if it just comes down to choice, maybe like she will choose someone else. Maybe she'll just choose Tamlin because he fits her vibe, like her gardeny, springy vibe.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Or maybe something will happen with Azriel. I don't know. We'll have to
I feel like
find out.
That is the most convincing argument for me for Tamlin because we know that Feyre drew the night sky. Now she's Night Court. Nesta's was flames. And we know she's like the silver flame. So why wouldn't Elaine's be about spring? Like, it has to be.
With her flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also another thing that was surprising, that Helion is Lucian's father. That was like, holy
how did we
shit.
forget about that?
How could we forget about that? That was like, that blew my fucking mind too. I was like, are you kidding me?
I saw this post the other day, and it says that they think Eris is also Helion's child.
He's the oldest.
Because they have the same colored eyes.
Oh.
She never does something for no reason.
Yeah. Interesante. But he's the oldest.
And that's why...
And Lucian's the youngest.
He's the oldest, but they had the affair before they had kids. Their affair was going on the whole time.
Wow.
So, like, I think...
And Eris is the only one that tried to stop.
Saved Lucian and didn't refuse to go to... So I think that's why Eris didn't care, because he has no competition from Lucian. He's not Autumn Court, and he is, and he just has to worry about his stupid brothers. He's more powerful than them. So that's why, like, maybe he's not Eris's kid. But at the same time, like, the description like they gave when I read it, Helion's kid, I think... the description that I read in this post and then just different actions like Eris has done, I'm like, it could be. Yeah. And he could just like take over the Autumn Court just because his dad is an asshole. Yeah. But I don't know, maybe there'll be two heirs to the Day Court that we don't know about.
Wild.
Instead of just one.
How can there only be one book left? There's so much things that are left unfinished.
Yeah.
Because the other ones are only going to be novellas, right?
So I think she was scheduled after A Court of Wings and Ruin to write 3 big books. Oh. So obviously Silver Flames, the one that's coming out, then another one that we don't know. 2. And then I think another novella. So...
Wow.
Or 2 novellas. I don't know. But yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot of loose ends at the end of A Court of Wings and Ruin. And yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I feel like Sarah likes to say like a bunch of things and then everything happens within like
5 seconds.
60 pages. Yeah.
All right, so let's go over the predictions that I made that actually came true. I split them up by our episodes, basically. So for ACOWAR Part 1, I had 2 predictions. One was that Lucian heads to the Night Court with Feyre, heading through different lands while they regain their strength of their power back. And I thought that there was 2 ways that this could end. 1, he becomes part of the Inner Circle. And 2, he becomes the Inner Circle spy / ally in the Spring Court behind Tamlin's back. And he does sort of become part of the Inner Circle. He's not officially official, but...
He's not an official member, but...
he goes back to Valeris with them at the end of the book. So I feel like that's enough for me to say, check on this one.
Yeah, he's definitely an ally of the Night Court now, going and helping to find Vasa for them. And, you know, he is going to be returning to Valoris after he makes a little pit stop in the Spring Court. But, no, he's definitely an ally of theirs.
Yeah, so I think that's a check. And
that is a check.
2, another ally, Jurian. I thought would also be an ally to the Inner Circle at some point. 1, because they feel the same way about saving the humans. And 2, he knows that Rhys is actually a decent guy and uses his vilification as a tactical move. He also thanks Feyre for trying to save the children of the Blessed, which is just another sign of their friendship developing. So I totally figured that he was going to be an ally in the war as well. So another check there.
You were definitely right about that. And, you know, Jurian said that he started to trust Feyre and that he could be allied with them when she did kill the twins for what they did to the children of the Blessed. So
yeah, I think as soon as he saw that, it was like, okay, you care about the humans. I'm human. Well, he's not human anymore. Is he human?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah, because, like, can you be brought back with magic and still be human? I don't know.
Interessante.
Yeah, interessante indeed.
Because they never described him as being high fae now.
No, but they never described him as being human either. He's just for the humans. And if you're 500 years old and be brought back as a human, how do you look the same?
Yeah.
Maybe he's just...
Interesting.
Can you be immortal and not high fae? Yeah, you could be lesser fae. Maybe he's lesser fae.
I don't know. I don't think he's lesser fae.
You think?
But even Miriam had the years, and she was only half fae.
Yeah, but I feel like half fae, I can still see how that gives you immortality.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to get some more information about Jurian.
Yeah. We need some more information about Jurian. Okay. So in part 2, I thought that, of course, the Bone Carver was going to agree with Feyre and fight in the battle with them. Yeah. And she also says in this moment that monsters, plural, are going to be helping them in the war. Yeah. So I thought that they would also try to awaken whatever it was at the bottom of the library to help them fight Braxis. And
you were right.
I was right. Braxis fights in the army with them. This one was impressive too, I think. You actually asked me, Megan, which of the courts I thought the meeting would be held in. And I thought that there was just so many mentions of the Dawn Court, of her magic from there. Lucian mentions it a few times. So I thought that it was foreshadowing for the meeting being held at the Dawn Court. And it was. Yeah. I also thought
you were right.
It could have been the Summer Court too, but the Dawn Court was my top choice. So that was probably my most shockingly right surprise prediction in this section.
Yeah, no, I was super proud of you for that one. I was surprised Day wasn't on your list as well. Yeah. But when I think I asked you about that the first time, you're like, well, they didn't really mention the Day Court like too much.
Yeah, no, not at all. Compared to the Dawn.
The Dawn Court, yeah. So, yeah, no, that was a great job.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's where all the action started happening and my predictions started getting lazy. But I still got some... Right. So part 3, I had one that said that all the High Lords would be at the meeting and something crazy was going to happen, which absolutely happened. Tamlin ended up showing up.
So many crazy things happened.
Baron showed up. All the High Lords were there. And then crazy thing after crazy thing just started happening.
Yeah.
Wild.
Azriel attacks Eris. Feyre shows all her powers attacking Baron. Yeah. Like,
the wall goes
we find
down.
Out Lucian's daddy is. The wall goes down. Nesta tells everyone off.
Yeah. So much happens in that meeting.
Yeah.
That's the only one I got right for part 3, though. Part 4, I thought that Braxis the Weaver and the Bone Carver would all band together with the Inner Circle and work with them to end the war. And Reese,
You were right.
our boy Reese, gets the Weaver involved, and all three of them were there, barreling through, eating up those Hybern soldiers. So that was a win for me.
Where is Braxis now?
I know. I was just thinking that. You're literally in my head.
That's so funny.
We don't get any mention of him, and he's like this giant. It's not like he's like this puny little guy that can get lost in a crowd. Like, he is this giant monster that is the scariest thing that Cassian has ever seen. And he just disappears? What, did he go back in the library and wait for his window?
I don't think he's in the library.
I don't think so either.
We're going to have to go find him.
I think there's a loophole to his little bargain that they made, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And in part 5 and 6, it's kind of made the same prediction here, because at the end of part 5, we still haven't seen Lucien. So part 5, my prediction was that Lucien would return with Queen Vassa and her human army, which happened. Although there was a shocking twist of the dad being involved.
Right.
And then, but we still hadn't seen Lucien yet in part 5. So in part 6, my prediction was that Lucien was going to make a reappearance, and he does.
And we see him at the very end. Like, the battle is over, and then he is there.
Yeah, like, what was he doing during the battle? Was he fighting, or was he just chilling on the ship?
No, he was fighting because he's like all covered in blood and like, and he's like, I never want to do that ever again in my life.
Well, hopefully they won't have to. I have a feeling that there's still going to be some drama though, since there's a lot more books left.
Yes. Nothing is resolved yet. There's still the queens to deal with. Like, what's going to happen with the humans and the fairies now? They didn't really come to an agreement at the end of this book of what was going to happen. Yeah. There's, they just have that huge curse.
Meeting, but they don't, like, have a solution yet from the meeting.
Yeah. There's just so many loose ends.
Obviously, it's going to take time. For humans, it hasn't been that long, but them, it's been 500 years. It's hard to break a habit after, like, 20 days. Never mind 500 years.
No, I know.
So it's going to be an uphill battle for them and the humans for sure. But so that's all of my predictions. And I did add one last section to our final thoughts before we talk about the next book, because so many people die in this book. So we have to have a moment of silence for the fallen. And I list them all out here. So I'm just going to bullet through.
Just a side note is we don't care about some of these deaths. We're just mentioning them. No. Yes.
Yeah. The ones we obviously only care about are the Surreal, the Bone Carver, Father Archeron, but the rest of them can go kick rocks.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So here's everyone who's fallen. I think it's in chronological order, but number 1 was the Children of the Blessed. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
The Hybern twins are next. Then the Surreal. R.I.P.
Oh my God. I'm still devastated. Leave the world a better place than how you found it.
No. And she even says something along those lines later.
Yeah, it's like one of the last lines of the book. Like towards the end. Yeah.
A little tribute to the Surreal.
I know.
Then we have Ianthe. Woo! That was a win for us.
Yes, we loved her death.
Yes, thank God she's dead.
Yeah, ding dong, the witch is dead.
Yes. Then we have the Bone Carver, which was sad. Yeah. Not as sad as the Surreal.
Not as sad as the Surreal. I had neutral, but it was just like, I think he knew going into this battle that he probably wasn't going to make it out, and that's why he had to decide if Eowyn was worthy or not to go into this battle for him to fight and, lose his life. And the smile that the Bone Carver just gives her at the end is just like, I don't know, that's so heartbreaking because I don't know. Yeah. I guess like the Bone Carver always wanted to go home, like was so interested in death and what it was on the other side, and now he finally gets to go find out.
Yeah, that's so true. Next, we have the Weaver, the sister.
Twin sister. Yeah, this twin sister is going to meet her brother on the other side, which I don't know if that's scary or not. The Bone Carver probably is like, yes, I'm leaving and they're staying here. And the Weaver's like, JK, I'm following you, Twinny.
Yeah, but she was devastated when he died.
She did yell out.
Screaming. And, yeah. So maybe they'll find peace together in death.
Yes. Hopefully. Now they just have the other brother.
Who we know, or we're assuming, is Vassa's captor.
Right.
So I definitely think he'll make an appearance in the next book. Or maybe not Frost and Starlight, but Silver Flames.
The Hallmark special.
Yeah. After the Weaver was Father Archeron. He's an unnamed father, so we'll just call him Father Archeron.
The Prince of Merchants.
Yeah, the Prince of Merchants, which was kind of sad because he just made this huge, epic comeback. Mm-hmm. The one person in the whole series so far that you think is definitely not getting a redemption arc gets a fucking redemption arc, and then he dies.
Yeah,
crazy.
That was crazy.
And it even makes Nesta feel, I mean, she doesn't say anything, but you can tell she's like distraught over it.
Yeah, no, it definitely is adding to Nesta's trauma. And it's definitely going to take a toll on her in these next two books.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. You can tell. I feel like there's so much foreshadowing for that because she's not speaking to anyone at the end of this book. But Feyre walks away from the body. Elaine walks away and Nesta doesn't. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like she's probably going to take it the hardest out of all three of them.
Yeah.
And I think it's more out of not even him dying, but her being such a bitch to him for so long and never getting that chance to
never seeing any
reconcile.
Redeeming qualities in her father.
Exactly.
And then he comes in with an army basically to come save their home. Like he doesn't know that they're high fae until he sees them at the end. And he doesn't even get to see Feyre or Elaine before he dies. It's only Nesta that's standing there. Yeah. And that's also just so heartbreaking.
Traumatizing.
Yeah.
And she probably feels so guilty, too.
That she couldn't stop his death. Yeah.
Or that she was hating him this whole time when he was trying to find a solution to help them.
Yeah, when she thought he was just being a deadbeat doing whatever he wants, like off on the continent,
Just hoarding money and trying to get more money, and that's all I cared about.
Yeah.
So that was a sad one.
Yeah.
After him was the King of Hybern, courtesy of the Nesta and Elaine sister
duo. Yeah.
Yeah. And these last two, thank God they're back, because these would have affected me the most out of the list. But Amren dies, and Rhys brings her back, and Rhys dies.
Yep.
And obviously comes back to bring Amren. So thank God, but we're still going to add them to this list, because technically they were deceased at one point.
They were at one point gone from the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if Rhys was gone for one chapter, he was still gone.
Yeah, and Amren was gone for like one chapter as well. So I just love how they're like, how did you find Amren? He's like, she was still there and I just reached out a hand and somehow she ended up back in the cauldron. I don't know. It was so weird.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too because the whole book, basically, they make a deal that she's going to be able to go home after.
Yeah.
If she figures out how to read the Book of Breathings, and then she kind of realizes right before all this goes down that it's a gift to be here and to feel love and to feel connection with people.
Yeah.
And she doesn't see it as like a prison sentence anymore.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why she comes back to Rhys at the end, because she's like, no, I want to go back to my people.
Like, this is her family.
Yeah. No. And she wasn't even supposed to remember anybody or anything once she changed out of her form that she was in, the body that she was in, and she did.
Yeah.
She never forgot them.
Yeah.
Even when she was in battle, she never forgot them.
Yeah.
She like looked back at them, and Feyre thought that was her remembering them. So
yeah,
love conquers all.
That part was definitely pulling at my heartstrings as well.
For sure. So that is all we have for the let's have a moment of silence for all of the deceased, the fallen.
But only the ones you like.
Only the ones you like. The rest you can pray that they burn in hell. And Megan, why don't you introduce our next book?
Okay, our fourth book of Bookish Bliss is...
Drumroll, please.
A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. So we're just moving on down in the series, tackling on book 3.5. Yes. Or as I call it, the Hallmark special. It's very small. We just have 2 episodes, I think, of the book content and then a final thoughts. So it's a quick one.
But I feel like it's needed. A quick, easy, cute book is needed after ACOWAR even, and ACOWAR. So much happens so far that I think we do just need a little Hallmark special to clear our brains and get ready for the next book after that.
Yes.
Yay! And you also mentioned, I think, that it's not just from Feyre's point of view, this book. It's from all point of views, right?
Yes, I believe we do get the point of view from multiple different characters.
Awesome. No, I love that.
So, yeah, there's
so far we've only had
briefly
Feyre and Rhysand for like 2 chapters.
Yeah, just looking. It's a Feyre to start, obviously. Then a Rhysand, then a Cassian.
Ooh, a Cassian?
Cassian point of view.
Okay, now I'm even more excited to read it.
I don't know. I think it's mostly Feyre and Rhysand, but yeah, it's mostly them. But you do get a few other people.
Yeah, I think that's still expected for it to be mostly Feyre and Rhysand, especially because it's a Hallmark. They're like the great love of the series, you know? But
it's literally like set during like Christmas time or whatever they call it. Solstice, winter solstice. So
that's funny.
So funny. Oh, I'm so excited. I cannot even believe we finished the main 3 of ACOWAR. Like, that is so crazy to me that we've done 3 books already.
Yeah. Like, how has it been 21 weeks?
I have no clue. But guys, honestly, the amount of communication that me and Amanda have with each other, like, we could teach Tamlin a thing or two, but also like, we are starting to say things at the same time and think the same way. It's getting quite scary. And then when I don't speak to Amanda, when we have, other parts of our lives that come into play that we have to focus on, I'm like, I wonder what Amanda's doing. Like, why haven't I talked to her today? This is so weird.
I know. It's sad when we don't get to talk to each other now.
I know.
Or read together. We've been reading even all of our books together.
It just makes it so much more fun. Especially for me, because like, I've read obviously these books before. So getting to read with Amanda and going back and forth and getting in real time, see her reactions has been a lot more fun for me than when we first read ACOWAR and we read it on our own. And I don't know, it just like wasn't as fun.
No, I agree. And it's also better for me too, because you've already read it, and anytime I'm confused about a part, you clear it up for me and I can read it correctly and not have to think wrongly the whole time.
Yeah.
Something. So it works both ways, Megan.
Yes, that is very true. So I cannot wait to read. Well, we probably won't read the Christmas special together, the first couple of chapters, because Amanda gets to go to Ireland.
Yes, I'm going to Ireland for work. So the first part we won't read together, but maybe the second part we will.
Yeah, I'm so sad you're going to Ireland without me. So
I know. I invited you.
I know. I know you did. But then I didn't know if I was going to like get this new job.
Megan got a new job, guys.
I got a new job. And I'm not starting though until later in July. So I could have gone to Ireland, but I didn't know at the time. So it was just like really hard. I'm like, do I book this ticket? Do I not? So I'll make it to Ireland eventually.
One day together.
Oh, that's lovely. I can't wait.
I can't wait for you to show me your favorite place on earth.
I know, it is my favorite. I'll have to show you all my favorite spots.
Yeah, and we're going to come back with full-blown accents.
Yeah.
Like real ones.
Yeah. I'm surprised I don't have one already.
From the Brits.
Yeah. I love hanging out with the Brits. So.
Yes.
Yeah, if anyone wants to hang out with us, any of the people that listen in the UK want to hang out with us, we might be coming your way soon.
Yeah, we will. We definitely got to plan that in the works.
Yes.
But guys, that's all we have for you today. And I cannot wait to start the next book, get a little bit of a refresh before we go into another crazy book. I know A Court of Silver Flames is going to just be wild and epic, so I'm excited to get a little palate cleanser in between.
Yes.
But please let us know what you think by leaving us a review and comments on any of the platforms you are listening/watching on, or on our social media pages. This helps tremendously to get the word out and lead more listeners to find our show and tune in.
Yes, don't forget to email, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and tell all your friends about us. And we hope the rest of your day is blissful. Bye!
Thank you so much for listening. Join us next week where we start part 1 of A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, covering chapters 1 through 14. Happy reading!